Although there has been some criticism of Arsenal, overall they have been very good this season. And one of the players that has looked transformed this year is Thomas Partey, who since Atalanta I think has been one of Arsenal's best players and continually keeps performing. In this video we're going to go through exactly why he has been so effective and why he should continue to be in the starting 11. So let's get into it. Now first of all, I have to apologise starting this video. I've been very critical of Thomas Partey in before, and I did think he should have been sold in the summer. However, I have been proven wrong by the recent month with his great performances. Even more surprisingly, Arsenal did sign Marino, I think, to probably start over Partey to move Rice back into the 6. But arguably Partey has been better than Rice this season, and since Atalanta I think he has been one of Arsenal's key players. And although he is 31 years old and his pace is definitely gone, there definitely can be questions about whether he should sign a new deal with it coming to a close in the coming year. And one thing that has been clear with Partey is that he built his game on his physical and his power running strength, and he has definitely taken a decrease in the last few years due to injury and his age, but it does seem like he is finally understanding how to use his body in the best way for the team and becoming a very vital part for Arsenal. Now overall I think he did start this season a little bit shaky, which is probably to be expected. He never really starts seasons fit for a consistent amount. However, there is some good things he has done. This season he has already taken 20 dead ball passes. This is passes from free kicks or corners, and I think this is mostly from him being very adaptable in midfield, being very quick and being aware and making the passes like we saw against Wolves when we scored our second goal, and he is not letting the game pass him by anymore. Compared to last season, he only made 24 and he played around about double the minutes he has played this year, so that's clearly a big improvement. Last season when I think he came in, it gave Arsenal maybe less control with him than Jorginho because he does like to move a little bit more, but it did make Arsenal probably a better and cleaner team going forward. Partey's passing is still as good as it ever has been looking at statistics, but it's his defensive actions where there's been a real improvement. This season he's already done 22 tackles compared to 14 he did in double the minutes last season, and in the first few years he joined Arsenal he played around 24-25 games a season and was ending up getting around 44 tackles and making around 24 challenges. Now he has already got half of that this season and he's only played 8 games this season, so his tackle numbers are going up. He's clearly getting much more involved in the defensive third as well, and he's making better decisions. Now I think his performances against Leicester and Southampton were really good, but I'm going to specifically talk about the Shakhtar game as it was the most recent, and I arguably think Partey was the man of the match in that game alongside Martinelli, who also had a brilliant game. Now the system definitely helps Partey. He is allowed to come into the middle but also play on the right and left side where he usually wants to and be that +1 in attack, but he also doesn't have to move too much. If he wants to sit deeper in an area, he's allowed to go out wide and make tackles like he did in the Shakhtar game, but he doesn't have to require to do that all the time. Now something that's really good about Partey is that he's deciding when to make runs and when to cover people in the right decisions. He's not got the most stamina in the world, he's not the most fittest player in the world, and you can't expect him to run as much as other players in the team given his age and the amount of games he has played. What I like about him is I think he has been making this right side work this season. Of course it works a lot better with Saka in there, which we've seen in the last few games, but hopefully he'll come back into it soon, where he definitely has a preference to pass it to the right side. Now he can switch it as well, switch it across when we get players close to him, but something that's really important, when Trossard and Havertz drops deep into that area, he can find them and he usually plays quite close off them so he can make this work. Now Partey has been doing a lot of what he used to do when he was really good in his prime for Arsenal. He picks the ball up in them central areas, he shifts it onto his right foot and he puts the ball out wide, giving space to the one-on-one defender and giving, more importantly, the winger on our team, Saka or Jesus against Shakhtar, that sort of room to be able to capitulate on one of the defenders. Now he does this a lot in these games, it does a lot of good passes to it, and I do think his passing level isn't probably as good as his prime, but it is definitely getting there. I think the more and more he plays, he is becoming more confident per game and he's willing to do them balls into the channel around the corner for the winger. Now we see Gabriel do this on the left side for the left winger, but it's good to see Partey doing it on the right side. We know he can do it, and although his percentage long balls haven't been the greatest this season, have actually been the lowest he's ever had, I do think he is getting to a level recently where he is getting more and more and he's been able to put their blind balls through. However, I do think the most encouraging thing about Partey so far this season has been his movement in defensive areas. Now against PSG specifically, to give an example, example, I think that he was really good at working with Declan Rice in a double pivot and moving off of the defenders. Now, what we've seen by Thomas Partey is a lot of defensive awareness and using minimal distance but covering great ground. He has this system where he will come back in defence, and that will mean Rice will invert into the middle and go forward, and they will keep switching. Partey will come closer for some goal kicks and Rice will go into the middle with Calafiori or someone inverting like Timber, and then they will switch. So as soon as Arsenal try to progress the ball down the left side and the ball goes into someone like Gabriel or Saliba, Partey will move forward into that inverted area and Rice will come back into the defensive line, making the 3-5-2 very adaptable. We've also seen times where Partey has come into a right back spot to cover someone like Ben White or mostly Timber going forward and be very smart there. And if he needs to, he can make these deep runs like he used to. Now, he can't do it all the time, but I do think against Shakhtar he did this quite a lot. There's a few times where it was quite clear in the first half that Ben White didn't want to run. He was very tired, maybe a fitness issue there, and Partey took the mantle up to pass the ball inside to someone in space like Havertz and then have great off the ball movement to run in behind so he can give that 1-2 and get Arsenal up the pitch. Because of his bias to always pass it down the right side, it gives Arsenal a lot of space, and you have to think with Saka being there majority of the time, that is where you want most of the passes to go to. He is Arsenal's best creator and best player. I do think players like Havertz specifically have helped Partey a lot. It gives Partey enough room where he can make quick passes into Havertz, who's always finding space deeper to help him, and it also gives him time so he doesn't get pressed too intently. Now, I'm not going to say Partey's the best at these sort of things, but I do think it is improved by the system, and I think Partey is really becoming his own within that game. And Partey is becoming a player that isn't necessarily involved in too much movement nowadays, but he's becoming a little bit more like Jorginho, someone that sits back and waits for the tackle and when he's going to act. And I think he did this well against Shakhtar, even playing in attacking areas, being there ready if Shakhtar make a mistake to be able to win the ball back, which he did multiple times, and just having the right timing to make these challenges, which we haven't necessarily said about him in the past. And Partey's always going to be a player that is a +1 in any good situation because he can pass the ball very well and first time, so he's always going to help Arsenal in attacking areas when they are penning teams in. And more importantly, something that Partey has really succeeded this season has actually been very adaptable. He has played right back now. He played it in the second half against Shakhtar, and he has done before, and I do think he actually plays that to a decent level. Now, of course, he's not going to be there overlapping and attacking, but you don't really expect him to or want him to. He's a very solid defender, maybe not out wide, but that is fine because we usually get Saliba and him to rotate and cover, so Partey can come into centre back and have better angles. And if we are in a 5 back, that's absolutely fine because usually the winger, someone like Sterling or Saka, will help Partey out there. Now, against Shakhtar, he was in right back and he was still trying to make things happen. There was a run that he made in the second half where he goes from the right side, goes all the way in the middle and continues to dribble. This is like Partey of old, where he can do this 2 or 3 times a game now. He's not going to do it all the time maybe like he would have, but he is picking and choosing the great moments to get Arsenal on the break, and he's actually becoming a really good counter-attacking asset for the team. And before, I've definitely said that Thomas Partey has been a liability, especially on the ball, but I do think maybe he's not going to get all the through balls and all the dribbles forever, but he is becoming better. In 91 touches in the game against Shakhtar, so his influence is definitely there, and made 13 passes into the final third. He is definitely getting into the right areas and at least trying to make things happen, which I have to respect at this moment. And I think his defensive work has improved more than probably ever at this Arsenal team. The defensive work he did in this game specifically, he won 6 duels, lost 5, but he did 3 out of 4 tackles. He won 2 clearances, 2 interceptions, 8 defensive actions, 3 recoveries as well. And this is not a normal game for him. He's been doing this a lot recently where he's been making the right tackles. He's very calm on the ball, and I think his confidence has definitely got better finally having a good run in the team. And I can't really see Arsenal dropping him right now because I do think he has been our best midfielder probably this season. I would give it to him. And after he moved to right back for Arsenal, he was trying to make things happen, and I still think he was relatively good out there against Shakhtar, but Arsenal's midfield completely crumbled. They really needed someone in there to sort of pick the ball up sometimes and actually make a run forward. He's got that drivability back, but also being able to string passes together and actually get the right hand side working. They barely got the ball when Partey moved into right back. There's obviously a lot of conversations going on right now about who Arsenal will play against Liverpool, and Partey I don't want playing right back. I want him to play in midfield, but he's going to have to play right back if that is the only option, with White being tired, because Partey still has been at a good level there. Let me know what you guys think about Thomas Partey, because I do think this is really encouraging. Do you think he deserves a new contract, though? It's very much up for discussion, or is he just too old for that at this point? Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.